It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Back up, back up, back up. The resident expert and co-founder of Awesome 2 Products in Mandan, Nick Wrestler, is in studio to talk about the importance of backing up data.
Beep, 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 beep. He's backing up. Watch out. Look out for the garbage cans.
I think we should just stop the show right there. That was hilarious, Jeb. Of course, we're going to be talking about options that are available and things to look out for. Of course, Nick is prepared with all kinds of other information, including some that will save you money. Our resident backup expert, Jim Walsh. How you doing, man?
Not too shabby. Had
Good.
another great weekend. Slept most of the weekend. I'm sleeping my life away on the weekend.
That's what I'm hearing.
And I love every second of it.
And you had no rain.
Yeah. It was a weird weekend, I understand. There was rain in some parts of town.
Yeah.
And you walk 5 feet, there's no rain. Weird.
It's crazy that you didn't get rain. Nick, you got a little bit of rain?
A little bit, very little.
We got a ton of rain where we live in the north side of Mandan. And I've heard reports from around town. Some people got an inch and a quarter. Not that the rest of you across the country care about it, but we just thought it was kind of funny. I mean, we're not that big of a community here.
Welcome to life in the Midwest.
And to have this weird kind of rain event all weekend was kind of fun to see. But
you don't like the weather, walk 5 feet.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's how it was this weekend. That's for sure. Nick, you have brought some stuff about backup today, and this is a very important topic. In fact, we're dedicating pretty much the whole hour to this topic, and we could really scare a lot of people with backup. And we're going to start there, basically. Why is it important to back up?
Well, you stop and think about all the things that you have you want to save. Okay? On a computer, what do you think is the most important thing to people?
Well, of course, I always hear photos and videos. But
photos.
Yep.
Businesses, it's more or less data.
Right.
Customer base, stuff like that. And not only, do you want to back it up, you also want to protect it, and that's really become a big issue now. When you consider the latest news, it says here that there was 1.5 billion. Let me find it here.
As Nick goes through his paper,
1.2 billion accounts compromised. One appears to be the largest credential heist ever.
Right.
And do you think maybe they have your password and email?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I mean, I get I just pick on my Twitter account. I swear my Twitter account gets hacked every month or two, and I don't know what the deal is with that. But I'm always having to prove to Twitter who I am because I can't get access to my Twitter account again.
Exactly.
So it happens all the time, and that to me isn't even a big deal compared to what's possible out there. But the number one thing to me why people need to back things up is because of hardware failure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a matter of, it's going to happen to you. People put a lot of faith into their hardware, their hard drives and whatever. And what I find interesting now is that people have a lot of faith in jump drives.
Oh yeah,
and they're probably the number one thing that'll go out on you. It's better to have some stuff backed up on a jump drive than not have a backup going at all. But how many times does somebody come in to the shop and they're like, "Hey, I just bought this jump drive yesterday and put everything that I have on it, and now it doesn't work."
It doesn't work, yeah.
And they're like, "Well, it's only a day old. How's this possible?" Well, they're not real. They're not like a hard drive. They break down like crazy.
Another one is your camera, SD card in the camera. I mean, how many times have people brought those in and said, my pictures are on this and I can't get them off.
Exactly. Yep. So this is the importance of backup, is that you have a secondary place that's a safe place that you can go to. So what choices do we have out there as far as backing
up? The
up?
safest place for photos and any kind of documents is actually a disc.
Okay.
Like a DVD disc where you burn it to a disc.
Okay.
And always burn two.
Okay.
Sounds like redundancy is generally a good thing.
Yes,
right.
Big time. Big time. Yeah, you want to have backup to backup. That's the key. Have it in three places.
So why is the disc the best choice, do you think, for those type of things?
Well, one thing, I haven't seen the other thing is test your disc when you do it. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen discs fail, but once it's burned to a disc and it works, short of you losing it or the dog eating it, I'm thinking it's pretty safe. However, do not use RW discs.
Right.
Those are rewrite. Those can get zapped.
So if you have
use a DVD-R.
So if you have a DVD burner in your computer, just go out and buy a stack of 10 or 25 discs or whatever.
Yes.
And they hold about, what, 4.5 gigs?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can put a lot of photos
Oh, yeah.
on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I just had a computer where the fella brought it in, and the computer had stopped working. And it was a heat issue. After I blew it out, I think he was missing a blanket because I blew all the cotton out of his computer. It actually overheated and stopped working. He was so concerned that he lost all his pictures. 5.5 discs.
Wow.
DVD on pictures, and that's like almost, I think, 7,000 some odd pictures.
Right.
And that's crazy to have that much stuff and not have a backup.
Right.
Until your computer fails. I mean, that's a terrible time to realize
But
you need to back
but
it
that's
up.
usually when people realize it for the first time. Is the first time their computer does fail is when they start thinking, "Oh, maybe I should have done something with this information."
I love
So-
I was going to do
Yep.
that. Well, when? Today is the day. I mean, sit down, and if you don't know how to do it, get somebody that does. If you're in the Bismarck-Mandan area and you need your photos backed up, bring them to a computer shop. I'm sure they can help you.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Yep.
And then at least get them off or on to something else. I always say when you're doing that, don't cut and paste. Always copy, because in that transition, there might be a failure, and then you'll lose
Right.
one or the other.
Right.
So you want to make a copy.
Copy and
of it,
paste,
yeah.
yep,
And
yep.
leave them on the computer.
Yeah.
Today's computers have such large hard drives. Everybody says, well, should I take it off? Is it slowing down my computer? No, it's not,
Yep. But at least you have a backup
Yeah.
to that. So if that hard drive were to ever fail, you can at least pull that DVD out and take a look at it and have all the information on there. Now, of course, we're just talking about photos, which is the number one reason. It's photos, videos, and then data. I mean, that's kind of the range that I think you see. But it's always photos.
Yeah.
It's no different than the old days when you had that what we call a firebox. You throw all your old photos and videos and stuff in there. So if your house were and if your house were ever to be on fire, you have everything in one box that you can grab and pull out of there. And it's always photos. I mean, that's always the first thing that's in those. There
Yeah.
might be some tax records or whatever too, but people always have photos in that firebox. And the same thing is true with your computer. So you need to be prepared for that fire, because it's going to happen to your computer. Your hard drive is going to fail. If it doesn't fail in the computer you have now, it'll fail in the next one you have. They are hardware.
Yeah.
They're going to fail. So
I think they should make the whole box out of the thing they make the fire box. The whole house. Let me get that right.
yeah, out of the black box, you mean. So,
Right.
all right, after the break, everybody, we're going to talk about other ways you can back up, things you need to be concerned with, and that type of thing. So come on back.
I burned a disc over the weekend. It's still in the fireplace. I'll go get it.
Right now, 72.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all our listeners that are listening to us across the country and around the world on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here. We're now on TuneIn and, of course, our own app, Radio Pup. So all kinds of ways that you can get the Tech Ranch in studio. Mr. Nick Ressler, he's our resident expert, usually on viruses, but we have him in today to talk a little bit about backup. And we were just talking about a practical way to back up your photos, and that's basically just using a good old burnable DVD.
Another way would be to put them online.
Okay.
Put them in a like, is it kryptonite? No.
Carbonite.
Carbonite.
Yep. Kryptonite's good though too. Yeah.
Carbonite.
If you can back up with kryptonite, I think you're good for a long time.
What was
Don't have to worry about General Zod.
That's right.
what was the site? Google Plus.
Google Drive.
Google Drive.
Yep, I use
You get
Google Drive.
15
You get 15 gigs for free. So and Dropbox, I think, is one that you
Dropbox
use.
is one I use, yeah.
And what do you get with that one?
Well, to start off, you get two gigs free.
Okay.
And then every time you send an email to somebody and recommend it, and they sign up, they give you 500K.
Okay.
You can build it up. I've got 21 gigs now.
Really?
In it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, hardly. Mainly what I use that for, sharing large files.
Right.
And that's the other thing we can talk about is people who send email and send an attachment. Quit doing it.
I actually, and we host our own email, and I have a hard time, sending large files, even if they're PDFs now.
Yep.
It's like there's so much spam and so many viruses being pushed through that our ISPs now are just making that file size that you can send smaller and smaller and smaller. So I agree with you. I think file sharing with like a Dropbox or a Google Drive is the route to go. And so in Dropbox, now I don't use Dropbox. Can you go to the file and then just like click something to share it?
Yes. You send an email and it links. The other person gets the email and it links to Dropbox, and then they can pull it off.
So do you generate the email from Dropbox?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like Google Drive then.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and in Google Drive, I just highlight the file, go to share, and type in the email address. And you can give them rights to it too, which is kind of cool. Can they just view it? Can they edit it? The thing I like about Google Drive is that if it's, if I'm working on a document or something, I can give that other person the ability to edit or whatever. So we can collaborate on those documents and work back and forth. But to share, I don't think Dropbox has that feature.
Well, but the other person can add stuff. You can give them rights.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Dropbox.
Okay.
So they can put files in it.
Gotcha.
And,
Okay.
And back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they need a Dropbox account to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, with Google Drive, if you want to edit, you have to have a Google Drive account too.
Yeah.
But to share, I think you can share it to anybody with Dropbox or Google Drive. And there are other options out there too. I think Microsoft one of these days I gotta get caught up with Microsoft again, but they have a cloud storage.
OneDrive or something like that.
Okay. Yes. Yep. I don't know how popular it is. I don't see anybody ever using it, I guess. But there are some people that do, I'm sure, and it might be great too.
An email here the other day, and it says, this is a notice that the invoice has been generated. And then it gives a date. The payment method is, and it shows a credit card X'd out with the last four.
Okay.
And then it says your credit card will be charged $845.30 GPB.
Yeah.
And then it says,
Great Britain pounds, I believe it is.
And then it says the payment delivery information is an attached file.
Yes.
Now, why wouldn't it be a bad idea to click on that
I'm not sure.
file?
Now, you that's the other thing with sharing files is that 98% of the stuff that's out there right now that's being attached to emails are viruses.
Right.
So you just don't want to do that anymore. Because people, I never open anything. I literally never open anything that anybody sends me in an email form anymore.
Even if it's a friend of mine or somebody I know, I just delete it.
Yep.
It isn't worth it.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
So what's the conversion rate from pounds to dollars right now?
I can look it up.
Okay. I thought maybe right off the top of your head you're going to do what to it?
I'm going to Google it.
You're going to
Google it.
Google it.
Here we go. Pounds, dollars conversion.
Okay. 20 years ago, if we said that, people wouldn't be too keen to saying that we're going to Google it.
1 pound is worth $1.68.
1 pound's worth. So they were asking you for about $1,300 there then.
For that.
Wow. Just so that you could pay. What were they getting you to pay off there?
I didn't click on it.
I'm reading Nick handed me the email here. So let's see here. The payments. It was just just a standard invoice that they said that hadn't been generated. I got one the other day. Boy, we're getting off topic here now a little bit, but did you get the parking ticket one yet?
Oh.
Yeah, my unpaid parking tickets. Click here. You go. I was visiting some city or whatever, and you forgot to pay the parking tickets before you left town. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of clever. But all they're after is that 0.001% that's going to click on them, and they'll still make $1 million bucks.
They've got you.
Yeah, yep. They're going to make money off you somehow or another. So, all right. So let's get back to backup here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of choices as far as online backup, but and we'll get to that in a little bit. What I want to do is, we're talking about photos first because that's the number one thing. Videos are the number two thing that we hear a lot about. So what options are there now for online or backup of your videos that you're taking?
Well, again, you can take the video, and there's a lot of different ways to digitize it. And once it's been digitized, store it on another hard drive.
Okay.
Or burn it to a disc, a DVD, and then it's playable in your DVD player. Or you can go online. We have a service called Zuvio, and Zuvio will take and convert your video, digitize it, and put it online. And what's cool about that is once it's up there, the accessibility becomes so easy because you can view it on virtually any smart device or any internet that's hooked up, to the any device hooked up to the internet, and you can share it with your friends and family. Unlike a VHS tape that you have stored in your basement that you haven't looked at. Forever.
So the we could even talk about you're kind of talking about VHS tapes and beta tapes right now, but they're a type of storage too.
Exactly.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up is that the type of storage that we're using today will become obsolete in a couple of years. Even the jump drives that we're using right now. Yeah. I mean, you think about the camera memory that we used to use. I mean, it was almost all compact flash right away. It was the little bigger squares. Mm-hmm. And now it went to SD in just a matter of a year or two, and now SD, because of the size, has taken over. I think some professionals still use compact flash because of speed things and whatever. But for the most part, SD has become that format for cameras. The same is true with everything. I mean, any type of videotape was a form of storage of those memories that you had, and good luck trying to use them now.
Well, another thing is if you go buy an inexpensive laptop, doesn't come with a DVD,
right,
or CD player,
and a lot of even your more expensive ones now don't have that built into it anymore
because they're becoming so thin and lightweight. They're leaving that stuff out.
Right, they would rather have you use the USB port with a jump drive or external hard drive.
External,
Yep. Yeah. So even the DVD is going by the wayside now. Although I don't think it's going to disappear as quickly as like VHS tapes did. Yeah. I think that you'll be able to utilize DVD for a few years yet. So using it as a backup to photos or whatever, I think you're okay for a while. But sooner or later, you're probably going to have to move that to something too.
Some kind of digital,
right?
Like a hard drive or an online service.
Right. So and then of course with Zuvio. And I know you were talking about VHS and other tapes, but you can take digital stuff you're doing nowadays too and put it all in there too. So you can put all your videos.
Yeah, what I do is I take still photos
of
my grandkids, and then I find some public music or something that isn't copyrighted and just put together, and there's all kinds of video creators, for slideshow, like an animated.
Yep.
Put it together, and then I put it up on Zuvio, and I share it with my family.
Okay. ZOOVIO.com. For those of you who aren't catching that, Zuvio.com. Throw up all your videos and that type of thing in there. And photos, too.
Yep.
And audio. You can throw some audio in there as well. Probably the biggest thing, though, is I love the lending feature. Have you tried that yet?
That's what I use.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, it used to be the sharing feature. Yeah. Now you can lend. So the lend actually puts the... Sharing, the two differences on that is that sharing allows you to share it with literally anybody. So if Jim doesn't have a Zuvio account, for example, I can share that video to him for a week or a month or whatever. With Lend, you're actually putting it into the other person's vault. And because you do that, now it's accessible everywhere that person has access to their own vault. So if you were, I could lend you a video and you could watch it on your TV right now. Yep. That's what's cool about it. We're in the share feature. It's an email type of thing. You have to click on the link and you can open it up on your computer. So a little limited that way. Still a cool feature, but the lend feature is just dramatically better. So I love that feature. I think it's the coolest thing. So any other video backup, photo backup things that you can suggest to people before we move on? Shaking your head, no. Yeah. Remember, you're on radio, so
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Other than what we've covered.
Yep.
How about you?
I guess the only other thing would be, jump drives and that type of thing. But I just don't.
Like jump drives.
I don't either. I love the convenience of them. I mean, I think pulling at my neck here. I usually have one with me.
I use
but-
jump drives to transfer data,
Right.
at the shop, and I have some programs on there that I use to get into a computer to clean it up, but I don't use them for long-term storage. I have got a drawer full of jump drives that don't work.
I do too, and the other thing I don't care about with jump drives is that if there's a virus on a computer you're
can
working on,
transfer it,
it's almost immediate. I mean, you put a jump drive in an infected computer, you put it into another
You can get
computer
a
and it's
USB
infected.
dongle that you can plug your SD card into and turn it off, lock it.
Oh yeah,
And that way you can put your stuff, move it from one computer to another without affecting
right.
the
And not
USB.
having to worry about
Yeah.
viruses. All right, everybody. After the break, we're going to talk about online storage and how you back up your entire computer. So come on back.
Right now, 72.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And in studio guest, Mr. Nick Ressler, co-founder of Osprey Products and Mandan. Of course, we have the Tech Geezer in studio as well. I'm sure he'll pipe up once or twice about
Messing up my Facebook again.
those Russians will do that, you know.
Damn communists.
Anyway, we're talking about how to back up your data today, and spent the first half of the program talking about photos and video, and we're going to get into backing up the rest of your computer. There is one website, though, I wanted to talk about real quick, Instapics.com. Have you seen this yet? You've seen the photo kiosks, right?
Yep.
You know, we're in the mall or whatever, and you go in and you take photos. They've been around forever.
Photo booth.
Yeah, photo booth. That's exactly right. Well, Instapics has kind of got a cool twist on this, and I seen these guys a couple months ago, and they're just launching their kiosks now. They're calling them selfie. I just lost it here. Yeah. Anyway, you can you can go in and take a selfie. And I mean, it's just kind of a twist on a photo kiosk, basically. And you can either get your photo printed or you can push it to social media. You know, so you can get in there with a bunch of friends or whatever, kind of like what they're doing at weddings and what have you too, except that now you have this availability anywhere you go in the mall or whatever. And if you see an Instagram photo, you can just print it from there too. So you can log into your Instagram account and print your photos from these kiosks. That's kind of a clever idea, actually, because, you know, it's kind of taken off the kiosks that you see for photo processing and just kind of taking it to another level and having you gain access to these photos anywhere you want to. So
you can print the photo right there
right there,
in the booth.
right in the booth, yeah. Yep. So if you see something on Instagram and you want to print it off, or if you want to take a couple photos yourself and push it up there as a selfie or get them printed right there, you can do that too. So
Is there a fee for it?
well, of course. I mean, they're charging for it. I have no clue what they charge, but that's a good question. I'll have to check into that to see. But I would imagine it probably takes, a couple, 3, 4, or 5 shots, whatever, and then spits out a couple photos for $1 or $3 or whatever it is. So, but I'm going to guess you're going to start seeing these pop up around because the photo kiosk has been popular for a long time and probably just needs a little bit of an update. And I think that the Instapics will do that. So Instapics.com, Instapics.com. And, of course, if you have a mall or a store and you're thinking that this would be a good thing to put into your place, I think Instapics.com will give you some information on that too. So if you want to have that little kiosk put into your place. We've been talking about storage a little bit, and we're going to talk a lot now about online storage. And probably the most popular that you hear about is carbonite.
Carbonite.
Yeah, not kryptonite.
Not
carbonite.
kryptonite.
I call it carbonite all the time too. So have you used any of these services, Nick? Are you familiar with how they work? Okay.
Other than Dropbox.
Okay.
the only
So you get carbonite and it puts a little icon on your computer. You download their little bit of their app and their software or whatever, and then you tell it what you want it to back up.
Yep.
So if you want your photos, your documents, your whatever backed up, it'll do that. And then for like $60 a year or $50 a year, it'll back up to, I think it's 50 gigs that you get with Carbonite. And, we're picking on Carbonite a little bit. There's a lot of other choices out there too, like iDrive, justcloud.com, those type of things. But the thing I think you have to be, and I'm all for doing this, by the way, but I think you have to be with a reputable company. And I was just, before we came on the show here, I was doing a little bit of research on this, and it's kind of funny. You can type in, top 10 online storage, for example, and they'll come out and they'll have other ones on here, and I'm not going to mention them yet because I haven't investigated, but there's one that's, I thought, pretty suspicious. I'm showing Nick the name of this right now, and you know where I'm going here, don't
Yes.
you? I truly believe that this could be the next big scam, because if they have your 50 gigs of data from your computer,
Exactly.
so you have to be somewhat careful that you're working with a reputable company that's not out there to gain access to your information. They're just there to store it. I think so. Yeah, so you have to investigate this stuff too. So make sure that you're using reputable companies to, and probably encrypted would be a good thing too. So make sure that, like Carbonite uses encryption. And so if somebody were to break into your data somehow or another, they couldn't read it anyway.
Yeah.
So
One of the fears I have, and you've seen this happen before, there was a photo storage site.
okay,
And they went out of business.
yes,
And they gave you like 2 days
Right.
to get your photos. Well, if you can imagine 5,000 or 500,000 people having their photos, and they all went to that site to get their photos back off, their site crashed because they couldn't get
they
in.
couldn't keep up with the traffic.
And these
yeah.
people lost their photos.
Yep.
So even if you're going to use an offsite or a cloud backup, I think you still should have a hard copy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that having an on-premise or at least something that you have easy access to, whether you're backing up your business stuff to your home to your business or whatever, and we'll talk about that shortly. But I think you should have something on-premise or something you can get close to, and something that's off-premise where, like a Carbonite or whatever would be a nice solution. So I think they both are critical here. And so you do a lot of your backup with just external hard drives, correct?
And I've had a lot of customers where they come in and ask, what's the best source? And I tell them, get yourself a hard drive. You can buy a terabyte hard drive for around $70-$80.
Right.
And what's cool about it is in Windows 8, and they don't call it backup, they call it something else.
Okay.
Free space or something like that,
Okay.
which just drives me nuts. Why you change it? I mean,
Right,
it didn't make it
right.
any better. But anyway, when you click on it, it'll look for that drive automatically. I think a lot of times the reason people don't back up is they don't think about it, or they put it off, they forget it. So with Windows 8, once you plug this hard drive in and you set this up, the minute you plug that hard drive in, it automatically looks at what was backed up and then looks at what you've changed and automatically does it. You don't have to do nothing but plug it in. And to me, that's the key feature. And again, don't leave it plugged in all the time because, it could become infected.
So your solution now, I guess I use a little different solution. I just have mine incrementally back up all the time. I actually have a secondary hard drive in my main computer that mirrors my original hard drive, and then I have an external
Like a RAID
drive.
drive.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then I have an external at my house that I use an online storage called Crash Plan.
Right.
And it's a little app that you put on all your computers, and you can tell it to back up my computer at work to my house computer, and then I have an external computer there that moves all the stuff over there. So I kind of have that secondary one, but the reason I do this is because it would drive me nuts if my computer were to fail and I couldn't get my information back up, and working in the next hour or two.
Right.
Having that secondary drive in my computer, so if my drive that I use most of the time fails, I can just literally take that drive out, plug this drive into another computer if I have to or whatever, and I'm going again.
Okay, so you're actually making a clone.
I'm making a clone of my other drive. Yep.
And that to me makes a lot of sense, especially, if you don't back up the current data, what you want to do is clone the operating system,
Right.
your Office software, and any programs that you have. And that way, when your computer crashes, like you said, within 15, 20 minutes, just by swapping that drive, you're back up in
Right.
business.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, and I see this a lot at our shop,
Yes.
is that even if they have a backup scenario going on, it's not backing up their actual programs.
Right.
So you go out and you buy a $200 piece of software and you downloaded it, which is what we all do nowadays, right?
Yeah, you don't get a disk.
Right. So you download it on this hard drive, and you've been working on this program for years, and all of a sudden it doesn't, your hard drive
And
fails.
then you can't find a code, so
And
now
then-
you have to go out and buy it
That's
again.
correct. That's correct. So that's where they get you with this stuff. So, spending that extra $60 or $80 to have another drive in your computer, or even an external where you can clone your stuff over to it, that backs up all your computer programs, your operating system, all that is in there.
And there's a little piece of software out there that'll actually, if you get it, and you have to pay for it, it isn't free, but it'll actually look at your drive and give you all the serial numbers and all the programs that are installed on your hard drive and print it out and store that someplace. So if that happens and you have to reinstall one of those programs, you can simply go online, download it, install it, and then you've got the key printed out.
So do you use anything like Evernote or anything along those
I
lines?
don't.
Evernote, I use it all the time. In fact, I run the show here, the Tech Ranch, on it. And as I think of things that I want to talk about during the show, for example, I'll just hop into Evernote.com, make a quick note of that, and that's where I store those registration keys and stuff, because if my hard drive fails or whatever, and I always know I can go online and get that information. I probably, I don't use it to store passwords or what have you in Evernote, but my registration keys and stuff, that way I can just look it up anytime I want to. So just another way to store that stuff. Of course, just printing it out on a piece of paper isn't a bad idea either, and filing it someplace.
If you can find it.
Yeah, that's the issue, of course, is that you can never find the stuff when you're looking for it. So we're giving you all kinds of interesting advice and for backup. There is this is the one thing about backup, Nick, I think, is that there isn't a one package fits all type of scenario here.
Right.
You have to kind of look at what's best for your home, for your business, whatever. If you're dealing with critical data, you have to have some type of security precautions.
I like your
in place.
idea of crash plan, because then it's off-site.
Right. Yeah.
If you have a fire or something major,
Yep.
catastrophe,
Then it's at the other place
It's at
too.
the other
So
place.
yeah, and I really like that little program. And they try to sell you some other stuff too. But Crash Plan is actually free if you're using your own drives. So it's pretty cool. All right, everybody. After the break, we will continue our discussion on backing up your data. So come on back.
Right now, 72.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And Nick Ressler, our resident expert, is in studio today talking a lot about backing things up. And Nick has, looks like you got some tidbits that you can share with us here.
Microsoft gives away nearly 300 ebooks.
Okay.
And the website is through PC World. It's go.pcworld.com and then /MSFT ebooks.
Now, I will post that on the Tech Ranch later, so that way if you're driving or whatever, you don't have to pull over.
What I found, I've downloaded a couple of these, and they're keyboard shortcuts. I mean, there's a ton of stuff for programmers and stuff that the average person wouldn't be interested in. But a lot of people don't use the keyboard anymore. They use their mouse.
Yep.
And there's all kinds of quick keyboard shortcuts that, and all of them are available at this site.
And they are actually big time savers if you start using shortcuts.
yeah.
I need to start getting back in that habit myself.
Another thing that I found in kind of tutoring people on their computer, nobody uses the right click on the mouse.
I think most people don't even understand what it's
What
for.
it is.
Yeah.
And the best way to explain it is the left click will do things. The right click will give you a menu and ask you what you want done. So
I right click all the time.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, it's
just
like the first thing that
second nature.
if I want to copy or something or whatever, I don't even look for or print or whatever. It's always just right click first and see what options are available. So absolutely, there's the best shortcut of the day right there. Right click on things.
Yeah, and then What state has the fastest internet in the U.S.?
Alaska.
No. Virginia.
Hawaii. No.
Virginia.
Virginia. Why Virginia?
I don't know. That's what they say.
I saw that.
Okay.
We're up there, though. We're pretty fast.
Are we?
I think North Dakota is ranked pretty
Yes.
good too, but Virginia. Well, I suppose because of government, maybe because Virginia is right in the thick of things there, aren't they? So
Yeah, probably.
close. Anyway, I don't know. Don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Actually,
You know, we
Gotta
were
take a
talking about
geography class.
security
Yep.
at the office, and on this one printout, it says when you buy a router or you get a router
Yep.
from your ISP, Internet Service Provider, how secure is that? Who built it?
you and I have had this talk
Yes,
before.
we have.
Yeah, because you think about if a foreign country were to take us over, I mean, how difficult would it be to plant some firmware into these routers
That we're buying from them.
that we're buying from them, and then they have control of everything? Yeah, you conspiracy theorist, you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, right.
But you say that, and at the same time, there's all kinds of revelations coming out about the Chinese, for example, and they're spying
And the
on our
Russians,
government here.
and the Russians.
And the Russians, yeah. So, I mean, you have that going on, and it makes you wonder if one of the reasons that they're able to gain access to our stuff is because they're building the equipment. So, I have no solutions as to what you could do about that, maybe except buy U.S.-made stuff. But that will be kind of a challenge, I think.
I think so.
So-
I'd be hard-pressed to find a router
Yes,
made in USA.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, they might be assembled here,
Yeah.
but they're going to be parts that they're bringing in from other places. So, yeah. One of our favorite websites, National Day Calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to talk about this a little bit, too. They started an Indiegogo campaign. For those of you who don't know, Indiegogo and Kickstarter, they are crowdfunding sources, and I guess they have had a ton of requests for bringing out. This is kind of a website that's gone using technology to get built up, and now they're going the other way because they've had all these requests to have a wall calendar, a good old-fashioned wall calendar with all these national days on them. So yeah, if you're interested in something like that, I think it's a cool Indiegogo campaign. Indiegogo.com, type in National Day Calendar, and you can get yourself. So then you know what tomorrow is. If it's
Exactly,
National
yeah.
Hamburger Day or whatever, and you can get ready for it.
Yeah,
So I thought that was kind of cool.
it is.
So hop on there.
I check it every day.
Okay.
Hoping that'll be a National Nick Day.
Well, I think
and then I can take the day off.
there you go. There you
celebrate.
go. You should have. You should go in there and register. There's actually an area that you can register to have your own day.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So anybody can have a National Day.
Well, there's a process you have
yeah.
to go through, but yeah, anybody can. If you have a story behind it, there is a national. Is it no? See, I got Dan in my head now, but there is like a National Bob Day or a male first name, and it's very very popular. Is it National Mike Day?
Mike Day?
Yeah, it's immensely popular.
I
So
wonder what's the most popular first name.
I don't know. I wonder if you can Google that.
Like a Mike or a
Yeah.
George. Have the geezer do it. He's
Yeah,
not
that's
doing
right. The
nothing.
geezer has to go over and Google
Just
something,
sit
please.
there. Come on. Ignatz. I thought it was Etzel.
Well, while he's looking up the most popular name in the country. Well, it's amazing that you have these reference tools just right here.
I know. It's unbelievable.
It is. It really
What
is.
would you do without Google?
I don't know.
I mean, in a business, I would be hard pressed with some of the viruses and things come out.
Yep.
Instantly, Google a lot of times will tell me how to fix it. And in fact, if anybody has a question on anything that we talked about, Google it.
You can actually
It's
ask the
unbelievable.
question.
Yes.
You don't have to type in.
No.
Uh,
Just like you'd ask me or you.
yeah. Nick, what is your shirt made out of? Well, it might not know that, I
Yeah.
guess, because they wouldn't know what you're in. All right.
Most common male name, James.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
me.
Unbelievable.
You have the most common name in the
A
world.
lot of Jims out there, apparently. John is second.
That's amazing.
I would have thought John would be first, or Michael.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. James. There you go. There you go, James.
awesome.
Yeah. Produce.
So now we need a National James Day.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to do that.
Female now.
So.
Any guesses on female?
I would go with
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is number 5.
Wow.
Number 4 is Barbara. Number 3 is Linda. Number 2, Patricia,
Okay.
name of my first wife.
Okay.
And number 1, Mary.
Mary.
Oh, wow.
Mary.
Yeah. I
James
agree.
and Mary. So I wonder how many James and Marys are married. So what's the most popular? Is there a last name on there as well?
These are first names.
Right.
I suppose Smith.
Smith.
Probably
Smith would have to be up there.
Johnson,
Jones. Yeah, maybe.
Jones.
I know the most popular name in the world.
Okay.
Chang.
Really?
No joke. Chang.
Chang. Chang.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Smith.
Yeah. Smith. All right.
Smith.
So if there's a James and Mary Smith listening right now,
And number 2, Johnson.
Johnson.
I guess that doesn't surprise any
Oh,
of
we've had
us,
2
so-
presidents named Johnson.
That's true. That's true.
Just get me elected. I'll give you your damn war.
We should have a whole show just on Google, and we'll come up with crazy questions. So
Questions asked.
what other tips do you have for using a browser that you're bringing up? Okay, so you can ask a question of Google, just like what we're doing right now. You don't have to type in male names. You can type in most popular male names, or what's the weather going to be today?
Yeah.
And it will actually come up with your weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually intuitive in that way. But
Even if, say you're a gardener and you want to raise the biggest tomatoes, how do I raise big tomatoes?
right,
Anything, and I go out and I help people on their computers. I had a client that they couldn't get their email or couldn't print it.
right.
And they changed something from Outlook, from Hotmail to Outlook. And when you click the print button, which is obvious, print, it opened up a window and it stripped out the email. And he couldn't print it, and it was driving this person crazy. I Googled it, and it said, well, there's 3 little bars up here. They changed it. Click on those 3 little bars. It dropped down print. Now, why would they do that? Put 3 little bars, but don't put print up there.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
Google gave us the answer
Yep.
instantly.
Yep.
And now the person's a happy camper.
I think the other thing that I do a lot that you kind of got me into, and I didn't do it for a long time. I'd always go to Google first, and then type in my search parameter or whatever at Google. I got away from that because now in the URL bar,
Yep.
it's a search.
Exactly.
That's a search
That's
feature
a
there.
search too.
So if you set Google or Yahoo or Bing to be your search provider,
Right.
then if you just type the question into where you type in normally
Yeah,
www.facebook
Right.
or whatever, type the question in there, it'll search that way as well.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
and
The other thing is, a lot of people say, well, should I use Bing or should I use Google or should I use Yahoo? Use all 3.
Yeah.
You'll get different results
Yeah.
sometimes on different search engines.
yep, they all use different algorithms to
Yep.
find their information. So you would be surprised, actually. And in fact, if you're doing some in-depth research, maybe instead of going through 4 or 5 pages on Google, go and see what Bing returns, whatever. So
The geezer had a thought about the Google car.
yes,
You know the Google
Yes.
car? Let me get him in here. Here, the Google car should have a button that says, I'm feeling lucky. It'll drive you to a random location.
For those who don't know about the Google car, there's no steering wheel in it. You just get in and you tell it where to go, and it'll take you there.
Yeah, my wife tells me where to go all the time.
Yeah, if you're feeling like it, you end up at the casino.
Yeah. Well, James, the most popular name in
Most
the
popular
world.
name?
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show again today.
Well, it's a
and all those
financial
great work.
pleasure.
Yes, and Nick, thanks again as well.
Always a pleasure, sir.
You bet.
We
Always
hope-
having fun.
We always, we always have a lot of fun on the show, and we hope that you learned a little bit about backing up. Make sure you back up your
up
computer.
your backup.
Make sure you put together a strategy to back up. Yeah. Have a great week, everybody.